Aloha kakakiaka, e koma mai to the Alpha and Omega, a semi-monthly show of serious symphonic, chamber, ensemble, solo, instrumental, and vocal music composed by artists from the 1st to the 21st century. I'm Paul James Brown, and we'll be getting together at Mana'o Radio on the first and last Sundays of the month. Let's go. Well, aloha kakakiaka, everybody. As you probably know, it was my 75th lap around the sun celebration on Thursday. And I was blessed to have an incredible celebration. And several of my dearest friends came out from the mainland. And right now, right here, right on the air with us today is one of my dearest friends from 40 years. 40 years. 40 years. 40 years we've been knowing each other. And Marianne is a radio professional. She started in radio when she was 15 years old in Rochester, New York. And she's been on radio ever since. I met her because of radio. And I thought, well, she's here. We might as well have her on the air. Right now, she is the producer of
Conversations on Healthcare.
Thank you very much for reminding me.
Sorry, I'm still on East Coast time. I need to grab my coffee.
But we're going to bring to the microphone right now Marianne OʻHare.
Oh, Paul, it's kind of an understatement to say a couple of your friends turned out for your birthday party, because that party was rocking. Oh my gosh. And it was a fundraiser in part for this radio station, correct?
That's exactly right. And we raised enough money so that we will be the new underwriters for the Tom Littell Bluegrass Show.
Fantastic.
And for Bits and Pieces, Tim's show.
Tim, just said hi to Tim. Great show he had leading up to. It's kind of a tough act to follow, but yeah, Paul met me, and I'll tell you this story because you know how you meet people, and sometimes your instincts tell you he could be a psycho killer or he could be really cool. You know, I'm not sure which. So he calls me at the radio station. I was doing a morning show in Connecticut, and he took pictures of all these people at a concert, and he was showing his friend
Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, by the way.
It was a beautiful sunny day outdoors in Hartford, Connecticut, of all places. Kind of an oxymoron, but it was that happened there. And he calls the radio station and he says, "I have pictures of you. You don't know who I am, but I have pictures of you. I wanted you to see how the rest of the world sees you." And I'm thinking, psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? And so for some unbeknownst reason, and this is, pre-internet, I couldn't look anybody up. I just had to go on instinct. He just sounded, I don't know, okay on some fundamental level. So I said, sure, I'll meet you. But I had somebody from the radio station go to the same restaurant and sit at another table in case I needed an eyewitness. And so he brings me these beautiful pictures, and I'm like, wow, those are really great. And I'm really stunned. I don't know about this Hartford thing. And he goes, I'll make you fall in love with Connecticut. And showed me some of the most amazing, incredible places. Lime Rock Race Park. Hello. We're on the air and selfieing at the same time. And then, Watch Hill, Rhode Island. And all of a sudden, every theater, great theater in Connecticut, great regional theater, some of the best in the world. And so overnight, I kind of fell in love with the place. And we have been friends now for almost 40 years, Paul. And
for more than 40 years. It was 1984 when we met.
Yeah, so it'll be that next year.
That'll be 40 years.
We're 39 plus.
Our 40th anniversary next year.
Oh my God, let's have a party in Maui. Forget Hartford.
Yes, we could definitely have a party.
So I met some great radio people the other night, and we had a great celebration for your birthday and some incredible live music, including your daughter, Juliet.
Oh yeah, that was wonderful. Yeah, we had Dr. Nat and Peter DeLong and Joy Renee.
Fantastic.
She was fantastic.
Oh, God, fantastic.
And Lydia Panzik came out of retirement after not singing for 10 years. And oh, my God, she should still be singing. Oh, my God.
She literally levitated Edith Piaf from the grave. She was phenomenal.
Yes.
Oh,
my God. Just
incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just so blessed by the amazing musicians who came out and gave their heart to the event, and of course the event raised enough money to give some money to Pro Arts and to give some money to Mana'o Radio. So you can't beat that.
No, and speaking of Mana'o, did I say that right? Mana'o.
You did. You said it perfectly.
Mana'o Radio.
So you're getting to be Hawaiian really fast.
A couple of days. You know, we radio chicks, we figure it out fast. I don't know. But anyway, so there was one performer there who may be dropping by this morning.
Georgy Gusev, as a matter of fact. Yes, it's
and
going to be in the second hour of the show.
Yeah.
Georgy Gusev, the world-renowned, incredible cellist, is going to be here. He directed a new movie called Music of the Cells, and he directed it, and he also orchestrated it. So we'll be talking about the music, and we'll be talking about the movie when he gets here. And it's right up your alley because it's a health thing.
I used to cover rock and roll. I used to hang out with Beatles.
You knew everybody. I mean, you were the backstage girl.
I was, but I was actually doing a job. I got paid to do that, which is kind of like if you had a dream job and you wrote your list of fantasy dream jobs, that was it. But now I produce a healthcare show with the brightest minds in the world. The Fauci's.
You've had them all.
Really have had them all. Michael Osterholm.
Because you're such a great producer.
Paul Uffo, thank you. Thanks very much. I tell that to my boss.
I will.
He's not so sure.
He doesn't appreciate
I'm still a rock and roll chick in a linear world now, but I'll tell you something. Doing a healthcare show with the brightest minds in the world in this space, every world-renowned epidemiologist, the top people from the WHO, the top people from the previous White House and the current White House, as the pandemic panned to administrations. But I'm cranky. I'm so cranky right now because I know too much.
Well, yeah, it's been amazing to me that that show started just around when the
Affordable Care Act was being discussed.
When the Affordable Care Act was being, and then you went from the Affordable Care Act right into the pandemic. I mean, you've been like on the cutting edge of what's been happening in the world, and you've had like the top people consistently on that show. It's just amazing.
It's pretty remarkable because we're kind of a boutique show. We're on a couple of radio stations around the country. I keep trying to
WESU in Middletown, Connecticut. It's the Wesleyan FM radio station.
Hala, an NPR station. But we're on a bunch of stations. But you can find conversations on healthcare at chcradio.com, and you'll see everybody who's anybody in that world. But so now I'm healthcare, so I'm really intrigued to hear about Georgy's film because I really want to see it. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I am the voiceover on that movie.
You are?
Yes. I did the English voiceover.
We're both backstage, Paul. What can we say? We're just lucky, I guess.
Well, this isn't a talk radio show, so we're gonna play a little bit of music for you people right now. And what we're gonna play is tell the story about Oregon.
Oh, this is so weird. So Psycho Killer. Let me just give you a visual because this is radio. It's theater of the mind. So I'm waiting at this restaurant for this stranger who thinks I look like something I should need to see, and he's either a psycho killer or kind of a cool person. Anyway,
Marianne's the most photogenic person on the planet.
Not really, not these days.
She is.
I'm a little.
Still.
I need some concealer under my eyes for all the partying we've done. No, so this guy comes up on a bicycle. This is 1984, by the way, in a seersucker suit, but it's Bermuda shorts. And he's wearing a red bow tie and Birkenstocks. Okay? Are you visualizing this 6'5" person on a bicycle wearing this outfit? I'm like, okay, I don't know where he's going to hide the axe in that outfit. He must be okay. Anyway, so, sometimes it's a leap of faith, people. Sometimes you just have to trust your gut and go with it and stop. We've lost the mystery in life now. We can just Google anybody now. I mean, if you Google me, you're going to go, oh, God, she's trouble. But I'll tell you, you have to sort of throw caution to the wind sometimes and just follow your gut, and the heart may lead you in the right direction, and you might end up with a lifelong friend.
That's what happens.
Who has great birthday parties. So you got to travel for them.
So tell the story about Oregon.
So anyway, we're having this conversation, and we're talking about music that we like, and because I worked in radio, I had all the music directors could only play what we could play on the radio station, but they got tons of other really great music that didn't make the cut, but was better than the commercial stuff. And one of the albums that I was given in one of my first radio stations was Oregon, and I just put it on the turntable and I played it, and I fell in love with it immediately. McCandless and who were the other people in that band? I can't think right now. Anyway, and it's this ethereal, wonderful music. It's so, it wraps around your soul. It soothes you. It's like a swim on a perfect day.
Ralph Towner, darling.
Ralph Towner. There you go. And you just float in the oral sense of it all. And he goes, oh my God, that's one of my favorite bands. So that was another thing where I knew we were going to be friends. And I believe, and then we went to see them in concert.
Yes, we did. And tell them about that one.
Okay, so, I mean, everything Paul does is just a little offbeat, okay, as those of you who are regular listeners may know. So he takes me to see Oregon, and I'm so excited, this band that I've fallen in love with. And it's in this nature center on top of a mountain in the Snake House. So they set up chairs in this sort of like walkway with these big cages filled with all kinds of exotic snakes, and there we were seeing my dream band Oregon, and it was sublime. There's not a word that I have in my arsenal of words that could aptly describe that night, but it was fabulous.
And so now we're going to listen to 3 tunes by Oregon.
Ooh, yeah.
organ, live at Yoshi's, doing Witchy Tai Toe from a 2005 release on the Intuition label. Before that, we heard Icarus, live in Freiburg, 1990. It's an epic release. And we opened up the set with Yellow Bell from Out of the Woods from the 1978 Rhino Electra release. Oregon. Paul McCandless, Ralph Towner, Glenn Moore, and Colin Wolcott. Just absolutely stunning.
Sublime.
Yes.
First time I put it on the turntable, I just said, "Oh my God!" I played it over and over. My neighbor goes, "What are you playing?" It sounds really good. So we both really got into them. And you know, Ralph Towner has been around a long time.
He has indeed.
And Paul McCandless. But you know, the what is it? The sum is greater than the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And seeing them in a snake pit on a mountaintop nature preserve is just another added layer of fabulous. But just, you know, an oral, like it makes me just want to go float in the ocean and thank God I'm alive to hear these sounds.
Yeah, well, they are transcendent. There's no question about that. And that day was that was like a major miracle. And remember how small that place was?
It was tiny. It was like a hallway.
And we're all standing around with the snakes.
But it was like wide enough for like 4 chairs or 5, maybe 5.
Yeah, it was really tiny.
So it was like it was like having a private concert with
really
Oregon.
was,
Like
yeah.
Ralph Towner playing just to you.
I mean, how many people were? I mean, there were like maybe
100, if you could get them.
If there were that many.
No, maybe 80.
I don't think there were that many. I think there were like 50 maybe.
I mean, if I was their booking agent, I might have found a bigger place, but that was really special for us. It was great.
It certainly was.
The snakes seemed to like it, you know, especially that oboe. You know how, you know,
Well, yeah.
sound you can mesmerize a snake with, and they were all very mesmerized.
I think the snakes were totally into it. No question about it. That is for sure. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I've got Marianne OʻHare here with me, and we're having a great time playing some music and enjoying each other's company. One of the groups that was my favorite group of all time is Jefferson Airplane. Saw them at Woodstock. Stayed up all night after The Who, and they came on.
I have a story about The Who, by the way.
Oh, go ahead.
Not to take you on a sidebar.
Go ahead. Well, yeah, go ahead.
So in my days as an entertainment reporter, I went all over the country and sometimes even the world to interview people, and I interviewed Roger Daltrey in a blue Speedo bathing suit on a beach in Nevis.
Oh my God. Really?
I mean, girls, can you just imagine that? Okay. I'm just saying. It was that was not a hardship at all. But he was reminiscing about that night, and he said, like, everything was so chaotic, and it had rained, and all kinds of stuff had happened. And at the moment when he sang, "See Me, Feel Me," the sun came up just started to blip over the horizon, and he goes, "Good God, good guy on the lights today." And I'll never forget him saying that. And like, you know, I was too young to be there. I'm so much younger than you, Paul. I'm so sorry. I'm just kidding. Anyway, but I was 11. So anyway, but no, that was his favorite moment of that time. So go back to where you were.
There was a pretty incredible thing that happened during that time. Abby Hoffman came out on the stage while Peter Townsend was upstage, like doing his windmill thing. Because they did all of Tommy.
That must have been
and
amazing.
I had seen it 2 nights before at Tanglewood with the Airplane and B.B. King, who wasn't invited to Woodstock, and I don't know what that was about, but maybe he had another gig. So anyway, Peter Townsend's upstage, like doing his windmill thing on "See Me, Hear Me, Feel Me, Touch Me," and Abby Hoffman gets up on the stage, grabs the microphone, and says, "John Sinclair's in jail for smoking 1 joint of marijuana. Let's all get up and free John Sinclair." He wanted like have everybody get up and walk to Michigan to free John Sinclair. So you can tell,
was
like
that
the
brown
quality.
acid or the green acid?
Yeah, well, that was the green acid. That was for sure. So Peter Townsend comes down stage and he's like, "What the F?" And he lofts. I mean, now the stage is like 16 feet high. He lofts Abby Hoffman out into the audience.
Wow.
And I turned to the person next to me and I said, "Was Abby Hoffman just on the stage and Peter Townsend just throw him off the stage?" and he was like so stoned he couldn't even see straight. And so I turned to the person next to me and the same thing. And I was like, I thought I saw that. And so I was like wondering And nobody could verify because everybody was so stoned. Woodstock was like a major acid test. I'm very confident of it. Ken Kesey was there. I remember when I got like the bag of like this hippie came up to me with like a shopping bag full of acid, and he said, "You look like you'd like to give away some LSD." And I said, "Yeah, sure, of course." And so he filled up my truck driver T-shirt, and I had like I was a unibreast with all acid.
You know, you're the kind of guy my mother warned me about.
And I started like handing it out to everybody,
Candy.
you know. And so I was tripping my brains out. So I couldn't really verify that this really happened. And so Marianne and her late husband, David, whose father renovated and brought back to life the home of Alexander Hamilton on Nevis. And they had a place there. And I knew that Roger Daltrey was there. And so I asked David, I said, "David, I haven't been able to verify this." I said, "When you're on Nevis next time, and if Roger's there, ask him." And so I waited around. They used to go in the fall, yeah?
Every time. The elders were there all the time, and then we would go 3-4 times a year. Yeah.
Yeah, and so David comes back from the trip to Nevis, and I say, "David, did you talk to Roger?" And he says, "Yeah, I did." And he said, "What did he say?" He said, "Yep, that's what happened."
It took you 30 years to verify.
It took almost 20 years to verify that story, but that is a true story. It was pretty incredible, and it was kind of left out the movie. They didn't include that part in the movie. But so now we're going to hear the live recording of Gracie Slick and Jefferson Airplane doing "Somebody to Love," which is the opening song that they did, and there's a little monologue that Gracie does in the beginning of it that everybody knows. And so enjoy the Jefferson Airplane.
Enjoy your flashback.
All right, friends, you have seen the heavy groups. Now you will see morning maniac music. Believe me, yeah. It's a new dawn. The regular guys. Morning, people! Now the truth is
Mississippi noise, rolling and tumbling.
I tried the whole night long. always feel she'd laugh or fuck hide and be. We're obscene, lawless, hideous, dangerous, dirty, violent. And hey, we can be together. Come on, all you people standing around, our lives too fine to let it die. We can be together. All your private property is target for your enemy, and your enemy is me. Da 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 forces of chaos and anarchy. Everything they say we are, and we are very proud of ourselves. Up against the wall, up against the wall, motherfucker. Tear down the wall, tear down the wall. Begin here and now, a new continent, earth and fire, tear down the wall. Come on now, getting higher, tear down the wall, tear down the wall, tear down the wall. Won't you try?
Jefferson Airplane, and that was at the Family Dog Ballroom Live 2012 doing We Can Be Together. And before that we heard the Airplane doing Somebody to Love from Woodstock Live, and got the little monologue from Gracie Slick on that one. Really quite exciting. I remember it very, very well when she came on and told us about Morning Madness music. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am very delighted to welcome to the studio one of the great cellists of the world. Graces us on a fairly regular basis, which is such a blessing. And he's got a movie that he just directed, and it's going to premiere at Pro Arts Playhouse next Sunday. Mark it down on your calendar, 7 o'clock, 7 p.m., the premiere of this movie, Music of Cells. Since we've got Marianne here, and she's the healthcare expert, and she's got the greatest health show in America, I thought it would be great for her to do the interview with Georgy Gusev and Marianne OʻHare live on Mana'o Radio. So take it away, Marianne.
I'm stunned and blown away because, first of all, welcome, Georgy.
Thank you, Marianne. Aloha to all. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Christina.
He's got a fan base here and around the world, and I can see why. He performed the other night at Paul's birthday bash, and there were a lot of performers there, but there was a moment when all time stood still, when it was you and your cello on that stage, captivating everyone. I mean, it was a wild, fun party, but everybody had to stop and just become one with that music that was coming through your instrument.
Well, I think if something happening for Paul James Brown, it should be great. And it was great.
That was an incredible moment. It really did get quiet.
Everybody had to stop what they were doing.
They just heard this incredible sound coming from the stage, and everybody just had to shut up and just... He transfixed everybody.
Well, as Marshall McLuhan says, the medium is the message, and Georgy embodies what one would think of as a sort of a gifted global ambassador of that fine instrument, the cello, and and he just makes it his own. And I only saw a couple of tunes, and I was just so mesmerized and wanted to hear so much more. But
Thank you. Happy birthday, Paul James Brown. We love you.
To know that you're also a filmmaker, a writer, all these things. Tell me what impelled you to come to this idea that you needed to do a movie about cells and really about how cancer cells take over the human body and how we have been treating it and why we perhaps need a better way.
Yes, it was a incredible project which took over a year and a half of time and work, and I had an incredible crew to work with. We have a hematologist, one of the leading hematologists, Kristina Zakordeva, coming for the premiere on the March 5th here to Hawaii, to Maui, all the way from Boston just for this movie screen. And yeah, we had really incredible crew. I want to thank my girlfriend Christina, another Christina. She's right now in Moscow, and she helped me a lot with all the editing and editorial stuff. And a dear friend Jamie Tamanaha, who allowed me to have a space to work while filming and making this film here on Maui. We have few speakers, local Maui people, so that's why I thought it's very important to show this film here on this island. And especially because it's dedicated to my dear friend, Brian Cuomo, who passed for brain cancer. And his death was kind of a spin for me to dive into this project, which is absolutely not an easy one. When we speak of cancer, it's tough subject, and to work on something like that for a year and a half without actual experience before, it was of course a very big challenge. But it was also very interesting work because in this film we are trying to explain, and I hope we are able to do that. I hope you will understand what we were putting in it, all the history of finding and understanding this disease, and all the history of humanity, of the scientists, doctors and patients who always work all together in finding the best ways to cure this disease. And I'm a musician, I'm an artist, I'm not a doctor, I don't have enough knowledge for that, but I was a director of that. It happened to be this way because my dear friend Kristina Zakordeva, and she has a big organization called Cancer Foundation. So of course through her professional field I had access to the best oncologists worldwide. So what we did basically, I started during COVID. You will see some interviews over Zoom. Then later, when it was possible, we started to interview people live. And we were traveling around the globe and collecting the information that we would love to share in terms to make this disease and information about this disease accessible to everybody. Because unfortunately, when we talk about cancer, people are afraid of. They don't really want to listen, to understand before it comes to them, to their loved ones, to their family. But, you know, for me, I opened a lot and I started to understand, and I lost my fear with this disease after work on this project.
So we're speaking with Georgy Gusev. He is a world-renowned cellist, also an incredible writer and performer, and now a filmmaker on a topic that is really a difficult subject to delve into. But it's also unlocking so many mysteries at the same time, and the body is so forever unfolding in new mysterious ways. And because I used to cover rock and roll and then I got into healthcare, I had to learn. It was like I had to go to graduate school to learn just the basic things to have a conversation with about someone. And Norman Sharpless, who was the American Cancer Institute former director, was on the show a few years ago, and he said, you know, cancer is really 400 or so different diseases. There's not one cure for cancer. There's not one cancer. And so they have to go beyond the diagnosis and delve as deeply into the cell as possible. The more you uncover, it's another Rubik's Cube. It's another mystery to unravel the deeper you go, and then trying to translate all of that, translational science now, as they call it, to the whole human race, backed up by the genome, backed up by all these other factors now that we understand, the proteomics and all the omics that drive cancer. So it is like it's like a big mystery, and no one has one solution to this mystery. And I think that's what's compelling as well as frightening, because the closer we seem to get to a cure or some kind of answer, we uncover more questions.
Exactly. That's why our film called Music of Cells. So the cell, actually the main hero of this film. I wrote a main theme for this film which called Genome. So it's based on 4 letters of human genome, ACGT, and it is actually music. So I incorporated those letters, those notes into this theme, and it sounds so beautifully. I'm sure we can listen to it later.
Let's listen to it right now.
Okay, so this is the main soundtrack for this film.
Just incredible.
Really beautiful.
Is the name of the song the name of the film as well?
The name of this song is Genome, but there's a lot of other music in the film. Cello and the piano, both performed by me. This particular composition kind of starts with the cell division, from one note, then doubling, then tripling, then quadrupling. It's more and more. So in this film, as I said, the cell is the main character, the main hero of this film. So we are showing the beauty of cell and what happens if something wrong, if is something missing in the harmony scale of it. So what's happened, and how really people with now this immune therapy, which you mentioned before, how people, scientists try to understand and find the way to use that to recreate the harmony in the cell, in the broken parts of it.
So there's CAR T therapy, there is CRISPR now, which is fascinating, and Jennifer Doudna and a pair of scientists from the Broad Institute both kind of co-discovered it, and it was a race to see who could claim ownership of it. But
did you get her?
She's in the queue, as they say. Some guests take years to book because we're a boutique show. But the interesting thing, one of my favorite shows that we did, is a couple of scientists who are co-directors of Human Cell Atlas. There was the Human Genome Project with Francis Collins, the former NIH director, oversaw the mapping of the human genome, which was once thought to be the holy grail of all science. What they're finding now that they have the roadmap, the genomic roadmap, that it's so much deeper, just like the mysteries we were talking about before, which is why you could probably choreograph or you could compose a million songs about what's being discovered. But the Human Cell Atlas is a global consortium of scientists from Broad, from Wellcome, from all over the world, from Russia. I'm sure there are many wonderful scientists from Russia also working on this project to map human cells, because in the brain, how many billions of cells are in the brain? They want to map every single one they can, like the genome. Far more complex because there are extensions that go in every direction, and then there are the proteomics that drive cell behavior. But they're starting with the cells. And so I think it's fascinating that a musician, an artist, a creative who manifests what is such a linear thinking process of science into the abstract in a way of communicating the beauty of the mystery of science, and the cell being the foundational block of life, and yet here you are taking that cell on its own journey musically.
Yes, again, as I said, it was a incredible project and very interesting project for me, especially to learn all this stuff, to interact with so many scientists, and we have patients also who are telling their stories, and every story is so incredible. We are giving the historical excursus from the first findings of the tumor in the bone of ancestors of the humans, you know, in the first Homo sapiens and the Egyptian mummies. Of course, we're telling all those stories and saying how really understanding of cellular creativity helped us to finally come closer to understanding of such horrible diseases as a cancer.
You know, you bring up an interesting point. Like ancient Chinese secret was a very sort of an idiomatic term, but are there ancient scientific approaches that were done, say, in 3000 BC China, herbal remedies and acupressure and acupuncture, all of these things that realign the body so the body can heal itself? I mean, ideally, that's the goal, right? Finding a way to realign the body so that it can heal itself. And I'm not talking about a woo-woo, whatever. There's scientific, there's so much data that support that compendium of approaches along with modern technology as well, right?
I think that's why, my colleague, oncologist Kristina Zakordaeva, invited me to make this film, because she didn't want just scientifical cold approach to that. She wanted this kind of artistic view on that difficult subject, and she wanted it to be told in an easy and understandable way that people who really don't want to talk about it will still listen and try to understand something that is not that pleasant maybe for them at first step.
Well, that's a perfect segue, because we have the opportunity here to have some really pleasant music. So Georgy's here, and he's got his cello, and so we're going to have the opportunity to have some beautiful sounds here, right here in the studio. I don't know whether you can hear the rumbling that's going on in the background, but they're doing some workout in the street here.
The percussion is warming up across the street.
They've got the cutters, and they're cutting up all the parking lot across the street from us. So that's the noise that's in the background. But Georgy's music will cover it all over. And remember, March 5th at 7 o'clock, Music of Cells at Pro Arts Playhouse. Go to proartsmaui.com.org, is it? Just put Pro Arts and it'll come up, and get your tickets, because you really don't want to miss this. This is going to be fantastic. And Georgy has this remarkable cello that he's going to entertain us with right now. And so, Georgy, take it away.
Yes, Paul, I actually don't want to cover this rumor, this percussion going through our floor. I would love to play with it. Especially, I just figure out that I forgot to retune my cello from last night. We had an incredible show with Don Vilax and Andrea Walls. It was sold out. It was incredible. So I had this very weird cross-tuning that you will hear now, and I will try to play with this percussion of the Maui construction.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
And exhale. I don't even know. I swear to God, is this Maui magic? Is this what Maui magic is?
This is all the Maui magic. You're getting it all.
I have chills going up and down my spine. Hopefully my spine is properly aligned, so all my cells get what I'm digging right now. Because, Georgy, do you hear this exhalation when you stop playing? Is that your idea of applause? Is people like letting their breath out, like, oh my God?
You know, it's very interesting. Of course, it's all another subject to talk. We listen any sound, including the music, with our body. It's not just going through our ear canal to the brain. No, we start with the vibration that goes through our body. That's why we always get those goosebumps, and that's why, as you mentioned, we have this kind of shortage of breath, or we have to synchronize our breath with the music which we especially like, or we maybe with that which is disturbing. But it's incredible. That's why when we listen something that we really love, we want to dance, even if we just sitting with our eyes closed, but we are dancing, actually listening. It's fabulous.
And what was the name of that song?
Oh, this one was just improvisation.
Yeah, Georgy is
this old thing.
Georgy's
okay,
like
this old thing by Georgy.
He's like one of the great improvisers. I mean, he sat in with Jamie Lawrence on Thursday night and just like played with Jamie while Jamie was playing, and it was completely improvisatory. You know, no rehearsal, no nothing, just Georgy and Jamie Lawrence. It was just gloriously beautiful.
The golden voice of Jamie Lawrence. I love it.
It's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
I interviewed Yo-Yo Ma years ago. I had a backstage pass to the world, which was so much fun. And he's a joyful person.
Absolutely, yeah. We met a couple of times, but I love him. Yeah, and he's the one who has actually Stradivarius cello.
Yeah, hello.
As he's unloading his cello, I'm like, "Is that the Stradivarius of cellos?" And he's like, "No comment." Sort of. Whatever, you play it like a Stradivarius would have wanted to be played. But I'm really intrigued by the whole notion of vibration, because I think what we're zeroing in on with all of these different scientists, with all of these different modalities all around the world, they have the foundational science, of course, but the exploration into, alternative therapies, including anything that utilizes energy, right? And vibrational energy, particularly because it does awaken the cells to communicate better with each other. Like just the way you described how we respond to music, but how about, does that come up in your film, how that can be used additionally?
Yes, I didn't want on purpose to concentrate on that because it's totally different subject, and you cannot really put, scientific approach and all that, mainly Asian spiritual approach to one film of 90 minutes. But even I will be showing on Maui a little bit shorter version of 45 or 50 minutes. That's why we wanted to concentrate more on the scientific, but I thought about it. That's why I invited my dear friend Dennis Gassner, who is a cancer survivor, and he is the top leading production designer in the Hollywood industry. And Dennis telling his story, how he got cancer actually after working here in Hawaii, making the Waterworld film, which he and Kevin Costner did on the Big Island in 1994, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so I really loved the Dennis's approach, and he is the one who is telling about the harmony. He's a yogi guy, so he's telling all that stuff, how we really need to come in peace with our body first of all if we want to heal. Started to heal ourselves and started to allow other approaches of medicine to help our body to heal. And we have another athlete speaking and telling his story. He is a very conspiracy theory guy, but I wanted him in this film because it's also interesting what he is saying, he had a leukemia, so he could only survive through the bone mirroring. And we are telling, of course, the stories of the scientists who discovered that method and who did it first. And it's all in the film. Please come and watch.
And I think obviously I would come just to hear the soundtrack after meeting you, seeing you play, and hearing just a few samples of what you have in total throughout this film. I'm intrigued. I'm finding myself now looking forward to what comes next. I think we're on the cusp of some really exciting breakthroughs in cancer. Obviously, President Biden re-amplified the quest to end cancer as we know it by 2050 or within 25 years and make it, at the very least, which is what it is for many people, just a chronic illness, right?
Yes, exactly.
And I think that since Georgy's here, we should have some more music. What do you think, people?
I can't think of a better idea that you've had ever, Paul, and you've had a lot of really good ideas.
I think that's a good one, that's for sure.
So this is by a very special listener from our radio, Zema, who just called in the studio, and she asked first of all to remind the date of the film showing. So it's, Paul, could you do that?
It's March 5th at 7 o'clock at Pro Arts Playhouse in Kihei, Ezeka Makai, and you go to proartsmaui.com and you can get tickets and you can see this movie and you can listen to the oncologist, the world famous oncologist who's going to be here, and learn as much as you want to about this dreaded illness. And now Georgy's going to play some more for us.
For a special request of Zema.
Glorious.
Oh, gosh.
Transfixed. We're all just like verklempt right now.
So this lovely woman, Emma just called her. Emma, I'm not sure. She beautiful sounding voice, and she was transfixed by what she heard. And we get to be in the studio, knee to knee at the mic with this wonderful cellist, who I think my sleeve almost caught his bow. I'm sorry about that.
Oh yeah.
I need to learn, cello personal space. I was telling you earlier about the Human Cell Atlas that this project, this global project, but I think I've been fascinated by the dramatic acceleration of resources being thrown at, I won't say into, but thrown at research now to try to get to the bottom of SARS-CoV-2 and its, and its origins and its treatment and all of the things that go along with coronavirus, which has been around for centuries in different forms. But there comes a moment, there's a transitional moment, there's a pivot point at which things leap forward, and I'm really intrigued by the fact that there's this sense of collective science going on now. Everybody was in their silos, in their 30-year research protocols. The woman who developed mRNA technology worked alone in a lab. No lab would touch her. She was an immigrant. She was nobody wanted to spend money to even give her a corner of a lab, and one guy finally did, and kind of started to fall under the spell of her research of mRNA technology. Katerina, I can't think of her last name. Anyway, she toiled away for decades, and now all of a sudden, and then there was Kazmika Corbett at the NIH, who's been working on it for about 10 years at the NIH on mRNA technology. That's one technology, but seemingly overnight it became the basis for one vaccine delivery system, but it's also underlying the potential for a lot of other diseases that are plaguing humankind right now. And I think all those researchers who've been working for decades on different cancer protocols, just to get to a deeper understanding of how the mechanisms work.
Catalina Carico.
Catalina Carico. Yes, Carico. She won a bunch of prizes for her work. But I'm intrigued now. There seems to be this collective consciousness that's moving discovery forward, and it's being propelled by this terrible pandemic that gripped the entire world. All of a sudden, everybody kind of banded together to figure out the solution. Are you seeing that in the people that you encountered in cancer in your research for the film?
Absolutely. That's actually was, thank you for bringing this out. It was one of the main ideas that I wanted to bring to this film as well, together with Kristina Zakurdaeva. She's Ukrainian, but she lived and worked in Russia, and now she is also working in Boston. And because of everything our world is going on through now, especially, we wanted to show that science is not something that can happen in just one country. It's always collective work of world brains who are trying to find solutions, who are trying to discover. We all know that medical science, especially the cancer field, the researches cost 100 millions, if not billions dollars just to make one drug. But we're explaining people, even to make that one drug, how many years should pass, how many scientific researchers should fail, many people lose, many companies or organizations, lose their money in that research because they come to scientific, wall. Sometimes even because of them, others can continue research because they know, okay, this trespass is blocked. We should find another one. So it's always collective, and I love what's one of our doctors, Mikhail Mashan, saying that it's kind of unfair to talk only about those who win in the science and the scientific research, because those who lost or those who probably found the wrong way, their contribution to that no less than anything else, because it's,
on the shoulders of giants. And also, I mean, there is hope. I think everybody seeks a seam of hope in a potential miracle drug, but there's also a collective journey of humanity here. One person's cancer suffering informs all of us. My mother passed away from liver cancer last year during the pandemic. She was diagnosed in 2019, just after my daughter had been proposed to. And my daughter was living in San Diego, and then my mother's diagnosis came shortly after. So my daughter and son-in-law moved their wedding up to 2019 from 2020, so my mother could be their flower girl. And it
was such a beautiful event.
Yeah, and Paul was there, of course. Paul, I should have had you help.
Then they came here for their honeymoon.
They did. You were their tour guide for their honeymoon. Did you give them some tips, Paul, on their honeymoon?
I did the best I could.
Okay. But long story short, my mother outlived the quote unquote outlived the diagnosis by 2.5 years because she was joyful and hopeful, and she was still socially connected during the pandemic to wonderful friends and family. And you know, there's a story of hope in every story of a cancer diagnosis. The hope of the scientists, the hope of the people going along that journey with you, the hope of the people that are experiencing it alongside of you, the radiation treatment, whatever it is, all these things on the shoulders of giants, we have propelled this experience forward. But I think we're about to leap forward. And I for one, I've got to see the movie somehow. I won't be in Maui by this weekend, but I will definitely be promoting it on the East Coast.
Yes, March 5th, proartsmaui.org, proartsmaui.org for tickets. March 5th, 7 o'clock, Music of Cells, directed and orchestrated and written by our guest, Georgy Gusev.
How is it making a film? I know it's many, many pieces. It's a very laborious process, but tell me about translating, your life as a career musician, moving into filmmaking.
Indeed, it's a very interesting process. Well, we're talking about documentary film, of course. It's totally different world, but I had some experience in that. I always loved interviewing people. Thanks God I can speak a few languages, English, one of them. So I could interview myself, all the English-speaking scientists as well. It's kind of natural to a music performer to build the shape of something out of little segments, because when you make a documentary, you need to have this kind of full vision. Even if you have a script, we all know that motion films are based mainly on the script, but when you make documentary, there is always something that comes in the way that, you have to rewrite everything. I can tell you how many times we did rewrite the script already during the shooting process. It was ongoing.
Well, weren't there some developments that happened in the research and everything that kind of stimulated those rewrites?
Not. I wouldn't say about developments. It was not the big long period, just 1.5 years. But the world changed during that time. Yes, the world changed because we started to film in 2021. And of course, we all know what happened in 2022, and the scientific world for some countries changed a lot. So, yes, we're trying to show exactly that. I just watched that incredible post on NASA website that American and Russian astronauts still working together in a space station. I said, "Oh God bless, at least in something we're still friends." I hope that scientific world will deal with that political situation and just try to work together, because it's very important for those who are in need on finding cure for their diseases. It's really important that scientists will work together.
Well, this has been a total epic show, and I'm so grateful to you, Georgy, for coming in and sharing this information. And Marianne, God Almighty, and it's just so amazing to have you on the air with me. I just wanted to say that this movie is Music of Cells. It's going to be at Pro Arts Playhouse in Azeka Mackay on South Kihei Road in Kihei at 7 o'clock next Sunday, March 5th. And you can get tickets at proartsmaui.org. Be there or be square. And thank you very much, both of you, for coming in today. I'm so grateful, and I couldn't be more excited about this movie. I actually have a little part in this movie.
Well, actually, not a little. You have a very leading part. I have to tell you guys, those of you especially who know Paul and who love him as I do, Paul did voice-overing for this film together with the Maui Dr. Nina Wisniewska.
Yeah, who actually comes from my hometown of Hartford, Connecticut. So bizarre. You know, Maui, the Maui Magic is, there's nothing like the Maui Magic. Maui Magic is just absolutely one of the most extraordinary experiences you'll ever have in your life. And I know all of you out there who are listening to us who are Maui people understand that, because you've experienced that somewhere in your lives. I would love to get all the Maui Magic stories together sometime, because that would really be an interesting book, an interesting podcast, an interesting performance. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Georgy, that's your next documentary. I'm happy to help.
I'm in it.
So some of my favorite music we're still listening to, and what we're going to listen to right now is Joni Mitchell and Pat Metheny doing Amelia. It's Shadows and Lights live on Asylum Records. So enjoy Amelia with Joni Mitchell and Pat Metheny.
I was driving across the burning desert when I spotted 6 jet planes, leaving 6 white vapor trails across the bleak terrain. It was the hexagram of the heavens, the strings of this guitar. Amelia, it was just a false alarm. The drone of flying engines is a song so wild and blue. It scrambles time and seasons if it gets through to you. Then your life becomes a travelogue, a picture postcard charms. Amelia, it was just a false alarm. People will tell you where they've gone, they'll tell you where to go, but till you get there yourself, you never really know. Where some have found their paradise, others just come to harm. Amelia, it was just a false alarm. I wish that he was here tonight. It's so hard to obey his sad request of me to kindly stay away. So this is how I hide the hurt, as the road leads cursed and charmed. I tell Amelia it was just a false alarm. ghost of aviation. She was swallowed by the sky or by the sea. Like me, she had a dream to fly. Like Icarus ascending on beautiful, foolish arms. Amelia, it was just a false alarm. Maybe I've never really loved. I guess that is the truth. I've spent my whole life in clouds at icy altitudes, and looking down on everything, I crashed into his arms. Amelia, it was just a false alarm. I pulled into the Cactus Tree Motel to shower off the dust, and I slept on strange pillows of my wanderlust. I dreamed of 747s over geometric farms. Dreams, Amelia, dreams and false alarms.
mood to sing. Unfortunately, my pipes are kind of going now. Or I'd stay here for another hour. Put up a parking lot. With a pink hotel, a boutique and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They took all the trees, put them in a tree museum. And they charged all the people $1.50 just to see them. I said, don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Hey, farmer, farmer, put away that DDT now. Give me spots on my apples, believe me, the birds and the bees. Don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Late last night, I heard that screen door slam. And a big yellow taxi come and took away my old man. Got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Late last night, I heard that screen door slam. And a big yellow tractor come and took away my house. It took away my land. I said, don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot.